Hello, everyone. My name is Cheryl Crooks, and I am Executive Director of CASCADIA International Women's Film Festival here in Bellingham, Washington. And I'm very happy to speak today with one of our directors who has been in the festival for 2 different years, 2017 and 2018. No, 2019, I'm sorry, 2017 and 2019, and More Raça, who is talking with us today from her home in Kosovo. Hey, More, how are you?
Hi, I'm so happy to be talking to you again after a year. So I'm very excited for the interview and the whole online stuff that you've been working on lately.
It's so good to see you again. And you and I had quite a few conversations a couple of years ago when we were doing the festival, and you had a script in the festival, and that was a fun experience. At least it was a fun experience from our end. To have you as one of our script writers for that year, and then also to have your film home. And this weekend, so people know, we have 2 of your films that people can look at online, 2 short films, Home, which was the one that was in the 2017 festival, and then Aho, which was in the festival of 2019. Very different films, but in some ways not so different, right?
Yeah.
Thematically anyway, in some ways. So I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about those 2 movies, and you can maybe tell us a little bit about, well, first of all, because AHA was new last year, can you tell us why you made that movie, how you came to do it?
Yeah, but first, before starting, I want to share my experience with the script station at the CASCADIA International Film Festival, because it was a marvelous experience for me, since I had to read the film and to see it being acted by professional actors before making the film, and receiving all this feedback, which helped so much in making the film, and all the reviews from the experts that were there. I deal with social issues, and I deal with female stories coming from my country, and I work as a filmmaker and documentary filmmaker. And I was very interested in bringing that story to screen, and it started as a small story from the stories that I already heard, but it turned out to be a global one, since we screen the film everywhere in the world. And from each of the screening, we got feedbacks and messages from women who were victims of domestic violence, and they were saying that this is the story of mine as well, or this was the story of my mother, my cousin. And I received a message from a woman from Cleveland when the film was screened there, and she said, like, thank you for making this film, because I see myself as the woman who is experiencing that.
Wow.
So very heartfelt and very emotional process, not just making this film, not just writing and bringing these characters to life, but also the distribution process and having to hear all the feedback that people had about the movie.
Yeah, it's wonderful when you hear from people like I have this past few weeks with the filmmakers from all over the world, talking to you about your work and asking, what they can do to help, or how it has impacted them. I think we should probably tell our listeners, in case they haven't seen the movie, let's give them a thumbnail synopsis of what Aho is about. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, it tells the story of a mother who is the victim of domestic violence, but she chooses to be silent because of the social norms, and she doesn't denounce her husband who is being violent. But her little daughter, she takes the courage, and they both run away because the daughter begs the mother to join her. And I know that people, most of the time when they hear about victims of domestic violence, they ask, why didn't they run away? Why didn't they escape? But they don't think about the struggles that they have, the prejudice of the society, and how little they are helped by the people who are in charge and who should provide support for them. So I know, because of my research, I know how it's hard for women to escape domestic violence. And even when they do, they risk of being killed and they are being threatened. So in my film, I decided to give them a happy ending, an ending that they don't necessarily have in real life, a choice that they don't have in real life. So I gave them the choice to run away. But once you see the film at the end, everyone gets a question mark, and we ask ourselves how long and how secure and safe this journey would be,
Right.
or if their journey will be stopped. And I did this on purpose because I wanted the audience to experience the film and also to raise questions like, how much are we doing as individuals, as society, as a country for women who are victims of domestic violence. So this journey can be long and can be secure and safe.
Yeah, the film leaves you. It's a wonderful movie, and the two women who portray the mother and the daughter are really so. It's such a heartfelt story, and you're so rooting for both of them actually. But it does leave you with some sense of hope that maybe they'll move on to something else. But as you said, there are questions because how do you know it's going to work out? And I suppose that's part of that's part of what you intended to do. And is that some of what you are hearing from the people who have contacted you about how they relate to that story?
Yeah, once I made the film, I said to myself, like, I hope this film gives strength to those who are in hard times and hard situations. At the same time, I thought that those who are in much fortunate situation will know how other people live, and they won't make prejudice, or they won't ask themselves, so why didn't they run away, or make other questions. So it's about understanding each other and creating the empathy for those who are in less fortunate situations and circumstances.
And the theme is a universal one, as you're finding out with the feedback from people, right?
Yeah, because domestic violence is a global issue and is one of the main causes that's taking life of women around the world. And even though I read so much and researched so much, watched so many movies and spoke to activists from different countries, different continents, it was only when my film was distributed as a part of a festival, the film had the chance to be screened at 300 cinemas all around the world in all the continents. So it was, as a filmmaker, it made me very happy that the film is being screened, but at the same time, as a human, it made me very sad hearing that this is the case of so many women all around the world. So you're happy about the film's success, and at the same time, you feel sad that the success is based on a very hard experience that people are witnessing around the world.
Yes, and yet it must be gratifying in some ways, though, to know that perhaps because of the film, you're raising a level of awareness with people that might not other exist about the seriousness of this issue.
Yeah, what I aim is to raise debates and to put forward the issue with which I deal with, and make people talk about a certain issue, because when we don't talk, we don't understand each other and we get misconceptions and misinterpretations of things. But when we start talking about certain issue, then we maybe we cannot change the whole world, but we can change specific minds, and in this way we can improve our society. So this is why I try to bring social issues to screen, like a social commentary, but also with many artistic values. And most of the time I use silence, because as a woman, our voices are not being heard all the time, or we should keep silence because of certain things and social norms. So it's a combination of being realistic and artistic and pushing the cause forward.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. And your other film, the earlier film that we had in our festival in 2017, Home, it also deals with social economic issues and particularly gender inequality. Do you want to say a little bit about that particular movie and tell me why it was you decided to make that film?
Yeah, at Home, I deal with a character, a woman on her 30s who is excluded from her right to inherit her wealth of her parents. Because even though our constitution offers us equal rights and equal treatment, both woman and man, when it comes to implementation, because it's a male-dominant society and the tradition piece has a big role in how we live and how we do in life. Women are excluded from their parents' wealth. And many of them are silent. They don't want to take the legal way of getting what they want because it's not considered okay and right if a woman asks for what she deserves in terms of inheritance rights. And at Home, I deal with a woman who tries to get what she deserves, but the road is very difficult and there are many struggles she has to overcome. And it's also based on true stories that I researched, and it was a topic that people didn't talk about much during that time, but now it's quite improving, even though it's far from how it should be, because there is like a very low number of women inheriting. I think it's 7.5% of women who have property on their name and who have inherited their parental wealth.
Yeah, the character, the main character is a really wonderful character, and the strength that she shows and the decisions that she's faced with to make. It's a very good film. You brought up that reminds me of it brings up a topic that talking about the difficulties of women in your country and our country too, for that matter. Dealing with inequity, because that's obviously why this festival exists. But for you as a filmmaker, has it been difficult for you as a filmmaker making films about these issues?
Yeah. One of the things I'm proud of is that there are many female directors in my country. So when I think of the whole picture, I say to myself, I wish the society was as equal as the film industry is, in a sense. And I mean, I've been very persistent in what I wanted to do. And I think as women, we have to push as much as we can, not just for ourselves, but also for those who cannot. And once we create a voice, deliver a voice, then we should use our voice even more to bring equality to each society that we live in.
Why was it that you chose to work in film? Was there a particular reason or something that inspired you to move in that direction?
Yeah, it's interesting because that's the topic of the documentary I'm working on. So I wouldn't like to spoil it that much, because I think very soon I will start filming that. But it's an interesting story, and I'm thinking of turning it into a documentary film. So I will share it with you as well, so you can give me some of your ideas.
That sounds great. So you'll keep us in suspense for a while, I guess, huh?
I always present my films to CASCADIA, like Script Station and festivals. So I hope this collaboration will continue.
Yes, that would be wonderful. We're really happy to have you. Did I see that you are working, did you just work on a feature or just complete a feature, or are you in the process of working on a feature?
Yeah, I did I finalized my feature film. It's titled Andromeda Galaxy. It deals with social issues. Again, I deal with a long-term unemployed man in Kosovo. He's in his 50s, and I deal with ageism and the struggle of unemployment. And last year in September, we were accepted at San Sebastian Film Festival at the Work in Progress section. Yeah, and there we won the main award, which included the whole post-production process, and it was very helpful because the film was a low-budget film. And now we are waiting for our world premiere, but since of the virus, it's been quite struggling seeing the festival being canceled, so we don't have yet an idea where that will be, but I hope this year we will have the world premiere as well.
Oh, that sounds great, and I hope we get to take a look at that movie because I would.
Sure. Yeah, I will be excited to share it with you as well.
Yeah, that's very exciting. You know, one other thing you mentioned here, you're talking about working with other women or inspiring young girls. You also teach, and I'm just wondering how you see yourself in the role as an educator, in addition to your role as a director.
Yeah, I work as a teaching assistant at the University of Pristina film directing department, where I teach 2 different classes. It's a very beautiful experience having to share my knowledge and my experience with my students, and I see myself also in the future working in education because that's what I love to do, and that's how I feel that I can bring a change on the society as well. And the good thing is that there exists also gender equality in our classes because we have equal female and male students, and the interest of girls to get enrolled in film directing is rising and rising. So it makes me very happy also in terms of gender equality in film.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have someone that inspired you, or a particular film that you consider the one that inspired you to do your work?
I can say Ladri di Biciclette, which in English is bicycle thief, coming from Vittorio da Sica, from the Italian neorealism. And during my studies as a student, I was exposed to different periods and different styles, but Italian neorealism was the one which I felt more for. And it also inspired me to the way I work with actors and non-professional actors. The camera movements and also bringing social issues.
You seem to have a very good rapport with actors because just from the 2 short films that we have seen, you really are able to draw deep emotions from them. And is that some of the influence that you've had experienced with this technique?
All of my films are character driven, so the actors have a great role in them, and I lean so much on the actors to tell the story, and they are also the ones who push the story further. And from the casting, I pay so much attention to the actors I choose to have in my film, and also when I'm writing, I have like very specific people in mind who I think about being part of the film. And then later on, we do so much working in pre-production, not rehearsing, but we do so much talking about the character because I love creating like a biography of the character, not just from the moment that the film started, but everything they've done before the film start, because their life has started way earlier than the film. So we talk so much about the characters and their life and their relationship with other people. So actors will get immersed into the character that they play on. Yes. So it's a very whole process, which I love so much, working with actors.
And I think that really shows in your movie too, the depth of work that is done and the relationships that develop between each of them. And obviously the relationship and the rapport that you have as a director with those actors. So it's very powerful. Both those movies are very powerful, leaves you with strong feelings. Well, I think we could wrap it up for today, but I could talk with you for a lot longer about the work that you're doing, because I think it's
always a pleasure. Yeah,
it's really
it's always a pleasure.
Doing so much wonderful work, and I'm looking forward to seeing both new films, the documentary, which you haven't started yet, I guess, and the feature. So we'll look forward to seeing that really soon, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, More. Again, we've been talking to More Raça with who's the director of Home and Aho, the two short films that we are showing this weekend in a showcase of films from previous Cascadia festivals. And I hope that you've enjoyed the conversation. I hope you've learned a lot. I certainly have. And I thank you for taking time to talk with us. And I know it's terribly late there, so I really appreciate your staying up to do that. So good to see you again. And I look forward to seeing you here in Bellingham one of these days.
Yeah, I hope very soon we will meet.
That'd be great.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.